Three men and a multiverse of sci-fi's finest spacecraft. But which ones can claim to be the greatest ships ever? Welcome to Space Doc Jury.
Welcome to Space Doc Jury episode 12. I'm Lee, and I'll be bringing the USCSS Nostromo.
I'm Peter, and I'll be bringing the Speedo Ghost from Ace Trucking in 2000 AD.
And I'm Andy, and I'm bringing the best darn ship in the entire verse, the Serenity.
Ah, there you go, yes. So, in case you hadn't noticed the theme we're running this week, it is space haulage. Yes, tugs.
Space Horlicks.
Space Horlicks. Space Borlicks. Space Wazooks. So, yes.
Space Freighters, but before we go on, I just want to address the Falcon in the room.
Oh,
There's a reason we're not doing the Falcon with this one, is because when we get around to doing the Falcon, it's going to have its own episode. So that's why. So
we're all doing the
don't complain.
Yeah,
yeah, exactly.
I'm the Falcon.
We couldn't decide.
So's my wife.
Backseat shotgun.
Oh, Bagsy on the turret. Okay, fine.
Oh, that's fine. I'll be in the cockpit with Chewie. Whee!
That's no way to talk about Pete.
That's my dog, actually. But
anyway, yes. So, welcome, and of course, we'll get round to discussing our ships in a short while. But before that, Andy, do you want to go through the top 10?
Ah, yes, the infamous Space Dog Jury Top 10. Hasn't actually changed since last week, but let's just run them down nonetheless. At number 10, the USS Stanley, Excelsior, with 55 points. Then at 9, we have the Deredex Warbird with 56. At 8, there's Reaper Sovereign at 56 as well. Mm-hmm. At 7, the Shadow Battle Crab Infesting Your Nightmares with 57 points. At 6, the Normandy SR1 with 57. It's got to be said it's doing pretty good for the Normandy to still be sticking it out in there.
Yeah. Well, I'm presuming that Normandy 2 would come in like 1 point higher by being just slightly bigger.
Where, if and or when we get around to the Normandy 2, we'll find that out. So anyway, moving very swiftly on.
Still be a prawn.
No, shut up, you.
Or the next one, I'll just forget this there. Anyway, the next ship is the USS Defiance with 60.
Slipper.
Dustbuster. Or the Hideki, as Brian likes to call them. At 4 is the Superstar Destroyer, the Executor, with 62 points. The spaceship with the best theme song, it must be said. At 3, the Battlestar Pegasus, the Beast, with 64 points. Sticking it out at number 2 is our highest placed Trek ship, the Borg Cube, with 67 points. And still at number 1, it's Lee's personal favourite, that which gives him nightmares and very weird boners, the Vengeful Spirits from Warhammer 40k.
It's a dildo with a snowplow on the front. Anyway.
Yes.
Yeah.
We'll have to start doing a Slanishi watch. So Lee, how's the Slanishi watch going this week?
So cold. So cold.
My picture of John Pertwee in the Eye of Axos didn't help, I know. But...
Yeah, do check out that minisode. Minisode 13.
We have such sights to show you.
Jesus. Anyway, so we are indeed doing spaceships which tow stuff, haulage spaceships.
The Serenity's more of a freighter, but it
hauls stuff.
Yes,
you
it
put
does.
Stuff in a big cargo hold. You haul it from one place to the other.
Yes, space freighter-y sort of thingy.
Yes, indeed. So there you go. Now, of course, based on last week's episode, the ID4 mothership crashed and burnt with 23, which means that you
83 times, in fact, all around the planet.
I'm giving it a minus 83.
If you haven't listened to last week's episode, people, you really should go and give it a listen.
Yeah.
It's a good one.
Yeah. So, so I guess it means that you're up first then, Andy, as you lost.
Oh, I lost spectacularly. But you know what? Don't care, not in the slightest. Anyway,
Okay.
this week I am bringing the Firefly-class transport ship, the Serenity, from Firefly and Serenity and all that good stuff. As we like to say, it's I think it's 14 hours of bliss and a lifetime worth of withdrawal.
Yep, pretty much.
Pretty much. Just before we start, we're both familiar with Serenity, Peter, yes?
Oh, yes. I have
Oh,
seen
good. I
Firefly.
just there we go. Just wanted to check.
Very much so.
Excellent. So, the Firefly-class transport ship was a series of multi-purpose mid-bulk transport boats designed by Allied Spacecraft Corporation.
Alec Jones? Alec
Jones? Maybe on his ship in the village.
Walking in the moonlit sky.
And they crash.
That comes later. Anyway, all Firefly vessels, they were all built on Hera. All Fireflies feature large rear-engine modules, wing-mounted engines capable of vertical takeoff and landing, a centralised cargo section, and a raised forward section holding crew quarters and bridge. The Serenity herself is a Series 3 and began her life in August 2459 when her keel was laid. She was one of the earliest Series 3 Fireflies, one of about 28,000. And we don't really know much about her for the next 50 years, but she eventually found herself in a boneyard on Hera, no longer flight-worthy. Along comes one rather dashing Captain Mal Reynolds, looking for a little ship to head off into the verse for a bit of freedom to stir some trouble up for the Alliance. And along with his first officer, Zoe, they purchased a Serenity and roused up a little band of rebels, as it were, with the pilot Wash, or Hoban Washburn, to give him his full name. The very lovely and very capable engineer Kaylee. Let's just take a moment for Kaylee. Okay,
Give us some strawberries. That always just
absolutely.
just eat those strawberries,
Kaylee, yes. Oh, Kaylee. Anyway,
sorry.
Trying to move on. It's hard. It's Kaylee.
Sorry.
And of course,
Pardon.
Keep walking. Walking funny. And mercenary Jane Cobb, known for his love of guns and explosions and killing a man in a fair fight, or if it looks like he's going to start a fair fight or anything like that. They were later joined by Inara, a courtesan, who hired out one of Serenity's 2 shuttlecrafts to help pay for the upkeep of the ship. In 2517, Simon Tam, River Tam, and Shepherd Brook come on board as passengers on their way to Boros, but are eventually integrated into the crew, with Simon serving as a much-needed medic on the transport. For some reason, these jobs had a habit of turning south on them. According to the blueprints, Serenity was 269 feet, or 82 metres from bow to stern, and 52 metres wide, and she stands 24 metres high. I don't think we particularly need to see the weight of her or anything like that. She has a range of 440 astronomical units when carrying minimal cargo, or 750 when she's empty. Ships of her type are constantly talked down. In various episodes, Serenity was referred to as a flying piece of gose, which apparently is Mandarin for crap, or lusa, which is garbage. However, it's pointed out in one episode that the true value of a ship isn't their attractiveness, but it's the fact they're very durable and very easy to repair, with Kaylee regularly defending the ship about anyone who would say anything bad of it. Quite right, too. Whedon regards Serenity as the 10th character in the series, as the relationship between the characters and the ship also reflects how the audience reacts to the ship, and it's very important that you form that connection, much in the same way you do with the Enterprise in Star Trek and with the Millennium Falcon in Star Wars. A little behind-the-scenes stuff here. The overall design was conceived by Whedon, who handed it off to production designer Carey Mayer for fleshing out. He conceived it as a Firefly, to be an insect, in a thorn in the side of the galaxy-spanning alliance and everything like this. They were very clever, very specific to make sure that there was a correlation between the interior and the exterior. Whedon didn't want it to feel like there were 1,400 decks, a holodeck, and an all-you-can-eat buffet in the back. He said he wanted to make absolutely certain this was a ship with a toilet, and made a point of including one in Mal Reynolds' cabin. So there you go.
Do we have bonus points for toilets?
I think we should probably put something in there at some point, but we'll get to that later on.
Under special, possibly.
Under special, yes.
Special news.
Yeah. No, we better not do that because we'll get him on Ready Rooms again. We don't want to do that.
Yeah, well, it loses points for not having one of those, obviously.
The model was built by Zoic Studios, originally for the TV series. They later actually up-res the model for the film because advances in technology and in computing equipment, mostly just dealing with textures, but they managed to get it to the point where you could actually count the rivets on the hull. That's how detailed the model was. It was done for a 2K resolution, which in, 2003, Serenity? No, it's a bit later than that. Yeah, 2004. Anyway, at the time, that was quite a big deal. We're only just now getting 4K TVs and everything now. So, yes. The insect metaphor reflected the ship's position in relation to the Alliance, the all-powerful government of the series, and the method of propulsion was based around the idea of using a fusion explosion just behind the ship to propel it at greater speeds than normal. This justifies causing the ship's tail to glow like a firefly right before the explosion, which caused the ship to rocket away. Because the director, production designer, and visual effects supervisor collaborated on the design, Serenity show has a lot less inconsistency between the size of the interior and the exterior than in other sci-fi spaceships, i.e. it is not bigger on the inside, it is the exact size it's supposed to be. And that pretty much covers it.
Right, okay, well, that was fairly comprehensive.
There's quite a lot about this ship. It's almost like it has an extremely extensive fan base who obsess about this ship.
It's amazing.
And show.
I don't know. Obscure cult series.
It is. I'd never heard of it until last week.
Yeah, you had to just watch all those episodes really, really quickly. Right, so then let's get on with rating it. Go for it, Andy. What do you want to go for on the size?
Oh, well, size on its longest axis, I believe it is 82 meters, which is not terribly big in the grand scheme of things.
That counts
I
as
think
a
that's
1.
a 1.
Yes, a 1 you shall have.
A 1 I shall have, yes. Now, for sublight speeds, she's quite a nippy little thing. She can... okay, so something we just need to establish here and now, right?
Yes.
This ship has no FTL. Reverse, as is described in Serenity, is a single system.
Yes.
And they typically obey the laws of Einstein and FTL. There is no FTL in the Serenity verse. So let's just get that out of the way now. There's 0 on that one. However, she can approach the speed of light to a certain extent. You get time dilation coming into it and everything like that. And she can cross the system with Hera and all those planets in a matter of hours and stuff like that. So I think we're talking probably about 5 for the sublight speeds.
We did say crossing a solar system in hours was 4.
Yes.
Well, then it's 4 then.
It's a 4.
I don't have your spreadsheet in front of me. I should probably get a copy of it, to be honest.
I was going to say, you sent us an email with all of this stuff on.
But it was a long time ago.
Yeah, that's what I printed up. So
everyone's far more organised than I am, honestly.
Yeah.
Anyway, manoeuvrability.
Okay.
She's actually, in the series, you get the impression she's a bit of a lumberer.
Yeah.
But in the film, she can move when she has to. Like when you have an entire fleet of Reavers screaming down your jacksie and an entire Alliance fleet coming straight towards you. So she's actually pretty damn manoeuvrable. So I'm thinking probably a 4 for manoeuvrability.
See, I've only seen the film once because of the unfortunate event.
Yes.
So I can't remember how it performed in the film.
I mean, it's very, very quick and nimble. It flies in and out of the Alliance ships. It does some very high G turns. It only kind of goes wrong when she gets struck by a EMP on the engine and then gets stuck into a flat spin. But other than that, she was shifting.
There is actually a moment. In the film where they do a homage to the Millennium Falcon with in Return of the Jedi. When you see the Falcon racing between the Rebel fleet prior to going on the attack of the Death Star,
yep,
yes,
they literally do that with the Firefly going through the Reavers, so it's moving like that.
Mm-hmm.
So I think a 4 for manoeuvrability is not too shabby.
I mean, it's not a fighter. And
no.
That's respected, but I definitely think it's much better than a Trek capital ship, which is kind of what we were pegging at Freeze.
Yeah,
so it's not a fighter; it's a lover. Is that what you're saying?
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay, that'll be a 4 then.
The ship is mine.
In fact, that is further illustrated by the fact it has no firepower, none whatsoever.
That'll be a bit of a theme, I think.
The little pop gun they stick on the top of Serenity doesn't count. Do you know why it doesn't count? Because it's not part of the ship. It's just bolted on for 5 minutes.
Oh wow! Look at someone trying to just self-justify the Genesis thing after I let it go 3 episodes ago.
He let it go. He says, "Yes."
Yeah. I didn't. Did I bring it up?
Anyway, defense. No
Yeah.
shields to speak of.
None at all.
In Serenity. She's manoeuvrable, so she'll get 1 on that on the old active front.
Yes.
Passively, though, not really anything to talk about, is there?
Isn't it?
She is. I mean, she's a freighter. She doesn't really have a huge amount to do anything in that respect. Under special, though, we have the crybabies, which are little drones you can send off, which broadcast distress signals and hopefully lure the bad guys away from you.
Yep.
Plus, I think just under special, I think River counts as 1.
Yeah, I guess so. Because if we count crew,
if you try and board, then
basically, that's quite an issue right there.
Yeah. So that's 2. That's 2 for special.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Okay.
Now her crew is. I mean, effectively, they do count everyone on the ship. Her maximum passenger capacity is 18. She's carrying 9 throughout the series, and they are all described as crew members, as in having something to do with the running of the ship. So are we talking a 2 there?
Well, we should be talking a 2, but I mean, you can argue that Liara, I can't remember. Inara, that's it. She has nothing to do with the running of the ship. Neither does Jane. Neither does Mal. Neither does Shepard.
Mal's the bloody captain.
Yeah, but okay, fair enough, Mal. But what about Shepard Book? He has nothing to do with it.
Well, you could argue that he is the ship's.
I mean, we're only arguing over essentially 1 point. I'm not really.
No, I know that. All I'm saying is though, it's. I
mean, at the beginning of the series, what's the crew?
At the beginning of the series, it's
4.
Wash, Zoe, Jane, Kaylee, and Mal, and then River, Simon, and the Shepherd come on board.
Yeah, but they're not really the regular crew, are they? I mean, they are in terms of the history of the series, but I'm saying in terms of what you would need to normally.
Yeah, but he to pilot the ship, you just need what? Well, all I'm saying is term as crew, because Simon comes on as the Doctor. He takes on a role as the medic on the ship, and the Shepherd takes on a role as the chaplain of the ship.
Do you need, and I realise the irony of me saying this, but do you really need a chaplain on a ship?
Well, I don't know. It's you in your profession, sir. You can argue that one better than I. But the chaplain is a known position on ships.
You can see it. You can see it in the newspaper, local newspaper next week. Reverend throws own profession under bus.
Look, it doesn't. I don't think this particularly affects the score either way.
No,
but
it makes the difference between 2 and 1, basically. Essentially, because I mean, if you go for the crew, as in functional crew, as in who runs the ship, who flies the ship, who repairs the ship, you're down to 3. But if you count the ship, if you count the Doctor and the Reverend and was it crazy dancer person?
I think they're crew in so much as they're not passengers, in so much as they are not purely getting passage / going from point A to point B. They are on the ship and they have roles within the ship. So I think they count. Plus, you get into the whole thing with like Star Trek. There's botanists down on deck 17 who have fuck all to do with the running of a ship, but they still got counted as crew.
It's the 4 soddies charge of the turbo lifts.
Exactly, yes, Ensign McManus.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, well, I'll give you the 2. It really doesn't matter.
What the hell?
It's fine.
You have set a precedent on that now, though,
yes.
so I should be making use of one in future.
Yeah.
You already set that precedent with a Defiant, thanks, mate.
Well, that was very flexible, but carry on.
Okay, so here's an interesting one.
Competence, Jane notwithstanding, I think they're an exceptionally competent crew. Granted, they occasionally get themselves into some messes, but they can usually get themselves out of those messes as well. So I think they're very competent. I'm asking for a 5 for competence.
I'd certainly be willing to give you 4.
Yeah, me too.
I'm not sure I'd stretch for 5 because they do make mistakes. They don't.
Yes, but who doesn't, if we're honest?
Yeah,
but they make a lot of them, don't they? I mean, you're right. They get themselves out, but they do. Generally make mistakes.
Yeah, and their competence tends to run along the lines of their competence tends to run along the lines of, can you fly this ship? Yes, you can. Can you hold the ship together? Yes, you can.
Oh, no, come on. Wash is a fucking amazing pilot.
Yeah.
Whatever you say, Kaylee is one of the best engineers in the verse, keeping that bucket of bolts still going.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mal, for all his problems, keeps that crew together, keeps them, I can't say alive for all of it, but, he does right by the crew and everything. Zoe, she's probably the most competent first officer we've had on this show, bar none.
See, the thing is, I get the feeling. See, they're competent. I get that, but they're competent in the same way as. I mean, I'd be interested to look at the Normandy because it's the same deal. It's a bunch of people who get by on the force of their own inherent skills, but not as a crew. The crew makes mistakes and fucks themselves up and gets stuck in issues. So I would look at whatever the Normandy got and probably be happy with that.
But we had an argument over the Normandy competence, and I effectively just gave up because we'd had a massive argument prior to that.
Yeah, well, that's fair enough. No, that got a 4. That got a 4 for competence.
Yeah, it got a 4, and I wanted a 5. And then Pete was very much, it's a video game. And
No, that's...
At the end of the day, we gave Thunderbirds 2086 5 for crew competence.
Oh, well, then fuck it, they get a 5. Right, there you go.
It was perfect, though. They never made mistakes. They never cocked up in the way that... I mean, isn't that episode where he ends up naked, I seem to remember?
Yeah, and she nicks his ship.
Yeah.
He got it back.
Yeah, I know,
Okay,
but
4.
a good crew wouldn't have let the ship get lost in the first place. Is what I'm saying.
Yeah, they are the first crew of this entire competition which actually managed to lose their ship. In fairness,
what did we give the Defiant out of interest?
Defiant, don't think got a. Where
The
are
Defiant got 5. Now we're talking
stuff.
about losing ships and so on and so forth. Do we really want to be opening that can of worms?
Why not? It makes good podcasting.
It does, but we do have a limited amount of time. Well, I don't have anything to do tomorrow. Look, I'm sorry. I honestly think, and look, I've been fair here. I'm not trying to claim any BS with weapons or thing. I think this is a competent crew. That Mal Reynolds has kept them alive against the Alliance. He does the jobs. Every single member of that crew, with the exception of Jane, and even then, Jane, at the end of the day, in a sticky situation, will come good, does the job well. And I think they come together. Yes, they have adventures, but it's a fucking show. Of course they're going to have adventures. It would be a pretty boring show if it was just like, and everything went fine. Next week on Firefly.
Okay, I'll tell you what, I'll let you have the 5.
Thank you, sir.
I'm going to let you have the 5. Pete.
Well, I've been outvoted, haven't I? But
yeah,
I would have said 4.
Okay. Well,
we know.
Well, I mean, I'd split the difference if I had the chance and go 4.5. But it's fine.
No, we're not doing halves.
No, we're not doing halves. But anyway, right? Okay.
Breaks
so
the spreadsheet.
Breaks the spreadsheet. Right. Okay. So on to exterior realization.
On exterior realization, I'm going to ask for 5. I'm going to ask for 5 because it's not the prettiest ship in the verse, but it all makes sense, and I think it's a fantastic CG model, and it's also a fantastic practical model because in Serenity, they built a 15-foot-long practical model for the whole crash sequence when it's coming down there. And I think, even today, I think all of that effects all stand up very nicely. This was what they did right before Galactica, Zoic, so, it's kind of paved the way for that stuff.
Yep, you get no argument from me on 5.
Same here.
Yep.
Likewise, on interiors, I think 5. You can see the bridge, for one thing.
You can see the bridge from the engineering deck.
You can see the bridge from the engineering. I mean, they actually built the interior of the ship. It was a real location. You could walk from the bridge to engineering to the cargo bay to Mal's cabin to use for toilet, as we've established.
Yeah. and it's got the whole wonderful Wild West styling as well. It's kind of sort of wood effect, and
it's great.
It's individual. So
and I tell you what, I absolutely adore the bridge with Washer's toy dinosaurs on the cockpit. It's that alone is fucking awesome.
Lovely. You get no argument from me, but whatever you ask for, sir, what are you asking for?
For science,
what about interior?
Oh, I'm asking for 5 for interior.
Got it. Right, fine.
Yep.
Now for science, I'm not sure here. I mean, it's a high score in so much as it doesn't really do. Again, there's no hand wavium. What they do for their well, it's not FTL because they don't have FTL, so that again scores it points there. The whole using a massive explosion to propel the ship is actually a actual thing which NASA looked into in the 60s.
Yep.
They had a ship which was going to drop nuclear bombs behind it. For some reason, they thought that wasn't a good idea. But
can't imagine why.
Evidently, in the verse, I quite like the way that it has a real, when it lands on the legs, it's got a real feel to it in a way there. I don't know. I mean, I'll ask a 4 because I think with a 5, I'm just pushing it. But
yeah, you would not get a 5 because that's Tyson proof.
Yeah, well, we gave up on that.
No, but come on, we got anti-gravity on this thing, you know.
And
that's a fair point. Yeah,
and it lacks sort of aerodynamism for going into,
for going into the atmosphere. The thing would.
They reference that very nicely in the film, though.
Yeah, but then
was that the forward man? I think that was.
Yeah, which is true. But then when they actually get it flying, it does fly in and around the planet without too much issue. Even though it's basically about as aerodynamic as a brick.
So,
a 4.
I'll take a 4, please.
4. Okay.
Yeah, I'm okay with a 4.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. We're down with a 4. Okay. So cool factor.
I'm giving it 4.
Okay.
Because it's when I first saw it, I really didn't like the design. I thought it was ugly as sin. But over the course of those fucking episodes, I fell in love with that ship, and I fell in love with that crew, and it was just like that ship. It because they set out from the get go to do it. Did the Enterprise, did the Millennium Falcon thing? It became a character. I love it. It's fucking cool. So,
yeah, I mean, it is ugly as sin, but it's supposed to be. It's a cargo ship ultimately. So along similar lines to Millennium Falcon, I'm happy to give it the 3.
And me too. I mean, I'm always down on this ship because I think it looks like a robotic turd. But despite that, as you say, it's not the fact that it looks ugly, but the fact that it's actually engaging within the show as well. And so, as ugly as it looks, you
feel really bad for the ship when it's crashing in Serenity. It's like, despite what happens immediately after that, though, it's watching that engine get sheared off and everything like that. That's a real kind of like, no.
Yeah, exactly. So it'll get a 3 from me. So that's 10.
Okay,
10 for cool. Which gives it
not had that in a while, have we?
Yeah, not had that for a while. So, which gives it a grand total of 44, which doesn't get it in the top 10, but does.
I've got 43.
43. Why?
Yeah.
Where have we gone wrong? So I was right.
Yay! That's a miracle.
Wow. God,
already this episode's a win right there.
Luck be a lady tonight. Well, there you go. It's a Christmas miracle in June, everybody. So, as I was saying, it's 44 points. Which, although it doesn't get it into the top 10, does give it a good showing and puts it at... Hold on, let me just check.
18th.
Yeah, puts it at 18th, above Slave 1.
Slave 1.
Yeah, above Slave 1 and underneath Chang's Bird of Prey. So there you go. Right, okay, well, so that's a good start. Off to a strong start for the Tugs, which I didn't think would get anywhere, but, good start. So, this is going to be the next one's going to be interesting, though. Very, very interesting. Because I think we're going over to you now, Pete, aren't we?
Okay.
With the Speedo Ghost. So, over to you, sir.
Okay. So, this is from the 2000 AD comic strip Ace Trucking, created by writers John Wagner and Alan Grant. You may have heard of them. They're the guys behind Judge Dredd. Mm-hmm. And Ace Trucking even features the Cleggs, so presumably they're vaguely in the same universe.
Yeah, they are.
We've got far lighter fare here, though, with rather eccentric dialogue, using CB-style slang and a comedic tone throughout. Rather irritatingly, you tended to need a copy of the A to Z of trucking slang to understand a lot of the dialogue, actually, which is one of the downsides of the strip, but there we go. The upside, though, was that it was illustrated by an artist called Massimo Bernardinelli. who brought a wonderfully demented approach to the art with very odd-looking aliens. He's got a very, very individual style, and it really does suit the strip nicely. The Speedo Ghost itself was captained by Ace Garp, a pencil-headed idiot, with a rather cool scarf-like affair that actually acted like an extra pair of hands.
Yeah.
But he was an idiot. There's no two ways about it.
He was a colossal idiot.
Ace's personal protection was GBH, a hulking alien who believed himself to be dead. And my personal favourites, the ship's engineer was Feek the Geek, the tiny skeleton chap. Who, it's just a wonderful design again. Bernardinelli, just at his best.
Yeah.
Plus, you get the ship's computer, called Ghost. Who had a good line, his sarcasm. The ship itself was a nicely designed space truck, clearly built for lugging. Eccentric, as were all Bernardinelli's designs, but clearly, it's clearly supposed to be a truck. You can see that, even though it's bloody weird. Wagner and Grant tired of the strip after a while, and Ace in particular, killing him off at one point. But fan demand meant they kept having to bring it back. And bizarrely, Ace ended up with a double from another universe or something at one point.
Yep.
Doubling the annoyance factor no end. A lot of the popularity of the strip, it has to be said, was down to the art, which always caught my eye and paints a very vivid picture of a crazy alien-filled universe. And you never quite knew where they were going next with it. One thing Ace Trucking wasn't was predictable.
That's an understatement. Yeah.
So, good fun stuff, but not necessarily easy to quantify in terms of stats, as I quite quickly discovered.
I'm having acid flashbacks all of a sudden.
Yeah. Yes, this is like No Mr. Warlock all over again, but actually times 20.
Yeah, very much so.
So size-wise, there is no definite answer to this one. I mean, at its biggest, it's 50 metres, which is a 1.
Is it because I'm looking at a picture right now, and I'm not saying that comics, because we're going to have this problem with comics, that they're drawn to scale. But I have a picture here with Ace in the cockpit, and it's like in a cutaway from the 2000 AD annual.
Ooh, I haven't got that.
It's a cutaway, and so you can see him, and you can see GBH, and you can see where Feek sits, and where Sheffy the Rat sits. And you can see them in scale to each other on this ship. And I would put it closer to 200 metres long. But I shall pass you this across, and I'll open it up for discussion because I'm just making assumptions here from these guys.
Yeah, I mean, my guesswork was just based on the occasions where you saw them standing vaguely close to it, but
no, it's huge. I mean,
you've got that cutaway. Interesting.
Because you can actually see them silhouetted in the shots, and knowing how big GBH is, he's like about 9 feet tall. So, make of that what you will. So, Andy, you seeing that?
Oh, I'm having a look at it. Yeah, I'm not. Oh, I do see the silhouette now. I couldn't see the first one.
Yeah. So if you say he's like 2.5 meters tall,
then
you. I mean, this is really rough off the back of the napkin kind of thing. But you can easily fit. You can easily fit at least 20 of him down the length.
I mean, where were you getting your 50 metres from, Pete? Was that
was surely just a rough guess?
In that case, I'd go with what Lee's saying because this looks
much bigger.
Yeah, I'd say 200 metres tops.
Yeah,
let's say a 2.
Yeah,
okay.
I wouldn't give it more than that because it is.
Wow, that's double what I was going for. Excellent.
Woot! You're on a roll.
Yeah. Speed, unfortunately, is even more vague.
Yeah.
Okay. There is a mention, one mention in Volume 1 of Ace Trucking of it travelling at hyperspeed.
So it does have an FTL.
So therefore, it gets a 1 for FTL.
Yeah, we don't know how fast it goes.
Yeah. I'm still a bit struggling over this. Does that mean it automatically gets 5 for speed?
No.
No. Help me out with that one.
Basically, it was the same old. It's the same as the jump engines thing. Basically, if you've got an engine that gets you up to light speed, but you can't push you over light speed, so like a sort of standard flying about engine, that's your sublight engine. So that's the impulse engines on a Trek ship. And then the warp drive is a completely separate thing that pushes you into FTL, which tends to be the case for pretty much every spaceship we've ever done. So jump engines are a completely different thing. Warp drives are a completely different thing. Hyperdrive engines are a completely different thing. So you can go up as far as light speed on your sublight engines, your impulse engines, but that's it. Impulse can't push you into faster than light. So it's the same deal. That's how it works.
So it's effectively, if it has a separate engine that will... It's like you said, it's effectively you have one engine which does FTL and you have one engine which does sublight. That's the assumption we have.
It's like having a turbo on your engine. If you have a turbo, that turbo can do certain things to your engine to make it go faster. But that's
unless there's an instance where there is a ship where we know that it uses one engine and it does accelerate up to faster than light using that single engine.
Well, that seems to be the case.
I was going to say the Speedo Ghost is like most 2000 AD ships, in which case it's just one engine. There's never a delineation. They just go, right, we're going up to this speed. We're getting faster. Well, now we're going as fast as the speed of light. Which is what happened with the Nemesis ship in our previous episode.
Well, what did we give the Nemesis ship? The Nemesis ship had those hyper tunnels, though, didn't it?
It opened up. No, but we were very clear because the thing was it didn't have the engines to do that. It actually had to ask for access to the FTL tubes, so it didn't do that. So it got a 5 for sublight, but it got a 1 for FTL.
Well, let's do that then.
So I think that's about right.
Cool.
I mean, because it is a comic, so it does kind of one of these things where they kind of go, oh, we're going to this planet, and in the next frame, here we are.
Yeah,
yeah. You don't stick with them as they travel. Yeah. In terms of manoeuvrability, there's a bit of sort of dodging around asteroids at one point, but obviously it's a pretty big ship, so I would have gone with 2 at most for that.
Yeah, I think 2's about pushing it. I mean, it lumbers about, and even when they draw it flying about, there's always a massive parabolic arc of flame. It's not like it turns on a dime. It really has a turning circle. Yeah. So, 2's fine. I think 2's fine.
Firepower zip, that's nice and easy.
Yep.
Okay, what was I going for?
Defense.
Defense, active 0.
Yep, there's nothing there. It has shields.
Does it? Because I thus far I've not heard a single mention of shields.
Well, it has deflectors, which basically knock things out the way, but they're very, very weak. They might as well not be there, frankly.
I was going with. I mean, it takes a few dinks over the course of Volume 1, so I was going with heavy armor at most.
Which is a 2, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yep, that's fine. Yep. Any point you want to question any of this, Andy? By all means, step in, even if you have no frame of reference.
Well, I have no frame of reference. I would raise 2 points thusly. It's a truck. I don't think it has heavy armor. It's used for hauling stuff. From point A to point B. I don't think it's going to have any more armor than something like the Firefly would.
Well, except it definitely doesn't have shields.
But it,
and it, at one point it slingshots round a sun, getting bloody close to it. So they must have had some sort of extremely good armour to sort of survive that. Admittedly, their hair's on fire at that point. But
yeah, it is, isn't it? There is one thing as well. That front prow is a bit like on the Gloriana ship. It's like a big battering ram.
Okay,
yeah, so that bash through things.
So
fair enough.
Big knob bit.
And the only other one I would say again, I've got no frame of reference, but if you say to be a space lorry, I don't think that's got a manoeuvrability of 2. That sounds more like it's a manoeuvrability of 1. I mean,
but
we gave. Manoeuvrability is 2. We're talking things like the Deradex, the Fireball XL5.
Yeah. I mean, this one does. If you look at the comic strip, this one does zip about all over the place.
I've got to take both of your words for this because I have no frame of reference. So if you guys say it's a 2, that's fine. Those are points where I would be like, does it?
No, but if you look at that cutaway I sent you, you see there's like this big plume of smoke, and that usually you get to see in frames of it moving, you get to see the plume of smoke being left behind.
Yeah.
So you kind of always get an idea of where it's been and how it's going, and it's always drawing a C on the frame when it's turning. It's always like big wide turning arcs. Again,
that to me sounds like it's not them. It's like it's got a turning circle like an oil tanker.
Yeah. Actually, more I think
it's
about
not
it.
that bad, believe me. I'm just trying to find a good picture to show you.
Yeah, if you can find one of it swinging in and out, but I don't remember. I don't ever remember seeing it do anything other than big parabolic arcs across the sky.
Here we go. It's the meteors bit.
Oh, here we go. Man looks up thing on the internet.
Yeah, well, worse than that, man then has to take a picture of his mobile phone and send it to me. I've got no way of scanning it in at the moment. So.
Nice. I was just trying to find one myself while I'm looking.
I've been having a look to try and find stuff too.
Yeah, it's the problem is it's one of those vague. It's the vaguest of vague comics in a fairly niche end of it. Oh, here.
I mean, Nemesis they didn't care because it was all about the politics. This one they don't care because it's all about the comedy, basically.
Well, I tell you what, this is a good indicator. This is a good indicator of what you tended to see, even though it's the front cover of the graphic.
I've got the graphic novel here. Yeah, I can see it.
Yeah. That's essentially what it always was doing.
Yeah.
It was always doing that kind of weird sort of
which
sweepy
that
art.
to me says that's an oil tanker. That's
if you
turn the
go by
wheel
that,
hard over and
I would have quite agreed, but where is it?
Yeah, because the thing was that also the other thing was that they used that graphic again and again for the two graphic novels on the front covers. So it is kind of like a standard.
I'm not
thing.
saying I doubt you, and if you say it's got it, Pete, I'm happy to believe you. All I'm saying is that was one of the things that I'd have been like,
really?
From the description you guys have given to us, it didn't sound. But if you guys say it is, then I'm cool with it. So.
I mean, it's touch and go. The more I think about it, it's touch and go. I mean, I give it the 2, but the more
Let's
I think
face it,
about
this ain't going to be scoring highly anywhere else.
Yeah,
anyway.
I don't think it's going to turn up anywhere on the board. To be honest, I think we could be looking at our lowest scorer, even with.
Don't you be? I worked hard for the Independence Day mothership.
Yeah. Well, the problem is you're scuppered by crew competence on this one. I mean.
Wait, there's no way this has got a lower crew competence for the Independence Day ship.
Well, I'm not sure. Anyway, let's keep on moving. Let's just keep it as it is, and we'll keep on moving. So, what are you going to give it for special?
Nothing, because I can't think of anything
what
to
I
give
thought.
it for that.
So, crew is 4 if you count the rat as a chef.
Yeah, I mean, and to be honest, GBH doesn't actually do any of the flying of the ship.
No,
I mean,
he's just the heavy, isn't he?
Yeah, but then again, running by Andy's definition, yes, he's always in it, so therefore he's a crewman.
It's not that he's always in it. That he is. I'm agreeing with you. All I'm saying is he has a role in the running of the ship. He is there to do something on the ship, is what I'm saying. If you boil it down to the only way the crew count is if they are physically involved in piloting or running the engine. When you get to the Galaxy class ship, your crew complement is 4. It's con, it's off, it's tactical, and it's the engineering. That's it.
Yeah.
Do you see the point I'm making there?
Yeah. The security guards and everyone are still required.
Yeah, they're still part of the crew. They're just not necessarily part of the ship. And conversely, when we have a ship
the engineering staff, at least, on the Galaxy class, you're in double figures, right?
Yeah.
Yes, but my point is, when you get to the stats, you have a crew of whatever, 600 or something like that.
Yeah.
Whereas when you get to... They again, you've got
the numbers you
on the
actually
ship.
need.
You've got...
Yes, I see where you're going with that, but
yeah.
My point is that, sort of having a priest on a ship is quite nice for the people who are there, perhaps, if they happen to be religious. But it's not really doing much for the ship itself, is it?
Well, I think in that case, then we'll have to start discounting Councillor Troy of having any use.
Yes. Let's face it, how many other ships had a counsellor? I mean, that's how much use she was.
Yeah. But either way, I mean, I think this kind of point is really kind of moot, really, because it makes...
Well, it certainly
makes
is with this, because it's going to be 1, come what may.
Yeah. I was going to say, it also makes no difference in Serenity either, because even if you took Shepherd Book away, you still got 6 people.
Yeah, I know. I'm just trying to lay out my points, as they were.
You can lay your points out, sir. It's absolutely fine. I'm just saying, there's not much point having an argument over it between you two.
Over fictional spaceships. How dare you, sir?
No, it was more.
Sure?
It was more the fact over one point, which we're not going to give anyway. But
moving on to skill.
Yeah,
1 at best. Mainly because of Ace, who's bloody hopeless most of the time. I mean, the other crew aren't too bad and tend to get him out of a lot of the scrapes he's got himself into, but he really is hopeless. So, and he's the captain.
Yeah, he is fucking... He's almost a -10 on his own.
Yeah, the others just bring it up a bit.
Yeah, I mean, one is...
Well, we're saying it's better than Red Dwarf then, yeah?
Yeah,
Yes.
it is better than Red Dwarf because everybody in the Red Dwarf is hopeless.
Whereas
Okay.
GBH could turn half of them into a small tin can.
And Fink the Geek, I mean, he's got the engineering skills. He keeps that ship running all on his own. So,
And he doesn't even need feeding. He just eats all the weird insects and stuff that sort of lace the ship's lower decks, which is pretty fucking disgusting. But also, he acts as pest control as well as
so he's got double benefit.
Double benefit, yeah. Okay, well,
So, one for skill.
one for skill.
Now, exterior, Bernardinelli's style is weird, but it's consistent all the way through. It doesn't change scale.
No.
And considering the weirdness of the design, he manages to keep it looking the same all the way through. So I'm looking for a 4, I think, for exterior.
I think that'd be fair. I think it's not like the Blitzspiel where it kind of keeps changing size, changing look, changing between artists. It is what it is, and it's well done. I mean, because it's also based on a Chris Foss spaceship.
It does have that. Interesting. Yes, it does have that look to it, doesn't it?
Yeah. So it's actually taken its influences from a Chris Foss spaceship, which ironically ties into the next ship because it's actually one of the discarded designs for the Snark, which would later become the Leviathan, which would later become the USCSS Nostromo. There you go.
And if you'd have saved that till the end, it would have been a great segue.
Yeah, but in the meantime, I've got to tell you the interior
Balls.
only gets 1 because you barely see it.
Yeah, that gets
They're
1.
really not interested in that.
No, not at all. It's literally white panels at some point.
Yeah, I mean, the most you see is the ship's computer, and that's about it generally, and a chair.
And a floor.
Yeah.
When you see GBH, they always show you his floor so they can actually show you his feet on it.
Science, there's some very strange things that happen to the characters, including dying and coming back to life.
Dude.
And having a skeleton for an engineer. But as for the ship itself, it doesn't break too many rules. I mean, no explanation of gravity.
No explanation of speed. No explanation of haulage or size or anything.
Yeah. So, 2 at most, I think.
2? How'd you get 2?
Because it's not craziness for the ship itself.
It's not away with... I'll give you that. It's not away with the fairies.
the
The thing
fairies,
does
so
actually
therefore
turn slowly. Okay, I'll give you 2, but I'm being generous. Very generous.
Good man.
Okay, so cool factor. Now, this is going to be an interesting one.
I shall be giving this 4 because I love it.
Okay. Andy?
1.
5. I've got to say, I've got a love for it purely because of its lineage, but it's not my favourite 2000 AD ship, so I'm going to give it 2. So that gives it a 7.
Yeah.
Nice. Which actually beats the ID4 mothership and puts it on exactly the same scoring as the Dalek saucer. With 28
I'm consistent, if nothing else.
28 points.
Yeah.
28 points. There you go. So, not bad for a ship which we basically guessed all the way through.
Well, to be fair, that's pretty much how we do every ship, isn't it?
Well, this one particularly.
Yeah, definitely. Okay. Well, that's it. Well, 28 points, putting it right near the bottom. Right near the sludgy bottom. Right, so, it's down to me, I guess. So, yes, it's the USCSS Nostromo. As seen in the movie Alien, it's here we go. Let's go through it all. It is an M-class freighter, model CM88B Bison, manufactured by Lockmart, aka Lockheed Martin.
Hey, we work for them.
Yay! Registration number 180924609, and it cost $42 million in unadjusted dollars.
That's actually seems like a bargain because I mean an F-35 costs $135 million.
I was going to say it's adjusted dollars. Not. I think that's probably the cost of someone's entire country. But anyway, the USCSS Nostromo, I'm just going to call it the Nostromo, operated as a tug, was captained by Arthur Dallas, believe it or not, and was registered as a Weyland-Yutani Corporation out of Panama. The Nostromo acted as a tug, connecting to and pulling loads like a tractor truck rather than carrying loads on board like a traditional freighter. The ship was constructed in 2101 as an interstellar cruiser, but was later refitted in 2116 to be a commercial towing vehicle. The ship, sadly, didn't last more than 6 years when it was destroyed in 2122 by Warrant Officer Ellen Ripley in an attempt to kill, shall we say, a troublesome pest.
There was a nasty infestation, and Rent-A-Kill just couldn't get out there until Tuesday.
Yeah, exactly. The ship and crew and cargo were all lost in the explosion. The ship was operating as a commercial hauler, transporting automated oil and ore rigging refineries between the outer colonies and Earth. As a part of the retrofit, the ship's original Saturn J3000 engines were removed and replaced with two immensely powerful Rolls-Royce N66 Cyclone thrust engines with bipolar vectoring for midline lift function. Each of these N66 Cyclone power plants delivered 65,830 metric tons of thrust, using water as a reaction mass. And when running at full power, the engines produced a high impulse thrust of 31,660 kilonewtons. The 7 hypersleep chambers could accommodate the crew during long flights and were also installed at this time. When Weyland-Yutani detected a particularly partially decoded and unidentified warning signal emanating from LV-426, the Nostromo was selected, unbeknownst to its crew, to investigate and hopefully recover a potential xenomorph specimen from the moon. To help ensure the recovery of the creature, the Nostromo's science officer was replaced 2 days before the ship left Thaddeus with Ash, a synthetic sleeper agent, under Special Order 937. Upon leaving Thaddeus, Captain Dallas transmitted the ship's report packet back to Seoul, relaying it through Sevastopol Station. Nostromo set down. We know all about what happened when it set down. But yes, let's move on to behind the scenes. The Nostromo's name was taken from the eponymous hero, the 1904 novel Nostromo by Joseph Conrad. The ship was originally called the Snark and then later the Leviathan, before Ridley Scott chose the name Nostromo due to his love of the Conrad's works. People and places from Conrad's works would go on to feature repeatedly in names of space-going vessels in the Alien franchise, including the name Narcissus, which was its shuttlecraft, the USS Sulaco, the USS Patna, from Alien 3, and the Verloc from Alien vs. Predator 2. Also the USS Marlowe from Alien vs. Predator, and the Sephora from Aliens Colonial Marines. The ship itself, 3 scale models of the Nostromo were made for filming, a 12-inch version for medium and long shots, a 4-foot version for rear shots, and a 12-foot version and a 7 short-ton version for undocking and planetoid surface sequences. The latter was so large it could only be moved by forklift truck, which would plug into the 2 slots at the back of the model. The basic outline for the smaller models were made of wood and plastic, while the larger one was welded to a metal frame, and most of the fine surface details were added from model kits of battleships, tanks and World War II bombers, while the miniatures of the attached refinery contained parts of several Star Wars model kits in its construction. The release mechanism that secures the Nostromo to the refinery is actually legs of R2-D2, with decorations on its upper surface, while the refinery's underside incorporates panels of Darth Vader's TIE Fighter. Filming in the miniatures took place at Bray Studios, which I won't go into, but because it goes on. A separate model was made that was 40 feet long, that was created for the Nostromo's underside, from which the Narcissus would detach, and which Kane's body would also be ejected during the funeral scene in Alien. For the scene in which the Nostromo detaches from the refinery, a 30-foot-long docking arm miniature was created for the same scale. And that's that. The interiors of the Nostromo were designed by concept artist Ron Cobb. The set The set constructed for filming was all interconnected and largely sealed, meaning the cast crew had to walk through various corridors and chambers to reach other areas of the ship. Several crew members commented that the confines of the intricate set meant filming was more akin to shooting on location than the studio, and that the interior's enclosed nature helped create the feeling of claustrophobia appropriate for the film. In such a confined set, lighting was a constant issue, and to compensate, some of the roof sections were constructed in clear plastic so it to allow natural light in through the studio windows, even though sometimes the actors had to resort to holding the flamethrower they were carrying close to their face so that the pilot flame would illuminate them for the cameras. The look of the Nostromo was designed to evoke the feeling of a World War II submarine. Much of the interiors were dressed with various aircraft parts, including production teams' parts which were acquired from RAF stock of decommissioned airplanes at the time. For example, crew chairs of the bridge were taken from fighter aircraft, with at least some of them being ejector seats. Much of the dressing in the med bay was genuine medical equipment. The mother interface room was designed to mimic the niche of a cathedral, with a myriad of tiny blinking lights representing candles. And much of the ship's interior was fully functional and actually works with buttons and lights and everything. And many of the buttons actually performed some functions when activated on screens. All the on-set video equipment was also real, and any footage seen on the screens was played for real during the filming. The ship's bridge was originally designed as a large open space with several floating consoles and crew seats that projected vast glass windows in its front. However, cost concerns meant that was ambitious set was scrapped in favour of a cheaper design elements, and the original Nostromo originally looked like it had a bridge that was closer to the Prometheus. The Nostromo's bridge was made even more claustrophobic still when Ridley Scott had the production crew drop the ceiling by 4 feet before the filming began, creating a far more cramped and enclosed space seen in the film. The other thing is in the opening sequence that's showing the computer waking up, the console reads that the Nostromo can tow 200 million tons. That means that even with the weight of the refinery equipment factored in on top of the load ore, the Nostromo in the film is not actually hauling its full capacity. And I shall leave it there because it starts to go into the stuff about the actual relation to Blade Runner. So, shall we get rating this bugger then?
Let's do this.
Right, okay, well the first one, which is pretty darn easy, is the size. And this ship is, at its widest, or its longest rather, is 334 metres long, which puts that as a 3 by my measure.
Yeah, biggest thing today.
That's right, it's big. Right, next thing, sublight. Well, we know that it can travel at light speed. We know that. But we have no idea how fast. So FTL is going to get a 1.
Yep.
That's much is sure. Its manoeuvrability is pretty low.
It's a brick,
so that's a 1. But sublight, it's interesting because it crosses a solar system that we see when they wake up. They enter the system, cross the system, and get to LV-426 in a matter of hours. So as far as I'm concerned, the sublight crosses solar system in hours, which makes that a 4.
But isn't it still travelling at its FTL, however it does that at that point, because it's before they are woken up, isn't it?
No. When they're awake and they're having the conversation and they're trying to find out where they are, you actually see on the display that they're actually outside of the system, and you can see. I think it's on Lambert's display. You can see the star, and you can see the trajectory. You can see the planets. And so they're actually awake before they enter the solar system.
Okay.
And it's obviously not weeks that they travel to get to LV-426, so I'm going to say hours. So
okay. No, I have a 4. I mean, by all means, I'm simply asking.
No, that's fair enough. Firepower, absolutely bugger all. There is absolutely nothing on
Diddly and
squat. And the same goes for defence. It has no real active defence at all. It's passive defence. There's a reference in the script that Brett basically says that it's got a shield because it loses it when they're trying to take off. But whether or not...
I thought that was...
I was going to say, but whether or not that's actually a shield or whether or not it's some sort of hull plating,
Yeah, I
not
took
really
that
clear.
to be there's some sort of shield over the engine vents or something like that, some sort of baffle, if you will.
Yeah. So it takes a pounding. I was going to say it's, by its definition of being quite a chunky hauler, I would give it a heavy armor rating, but I wouldn't give it shields. But that's
I'll give it 2 just because you just gave the Speedo goes 2, and I think that the Nostromo is easily as tough as that.
Yeah. Oh, definitely, yeah.
Okay, special. Nothing in particular. It's got an escape shuttle, but I don't think that counts as much, so that's a 0. Crew size 7.
Mm-hmm.
8 if you count the extra guest, but
which
7.
which we don't.
Which we don't. But so that's a 7. So
Well, I was going to say you can count Jones maybe.
if you count Jones, but being 7, that means it gives it crew size of 2.
Mm-hmm.
Competence. How do we rate competence then? Because
Averaging out.
I was going to say, as far as doing their job, which they're supposed to do, they do it professionally.
Yeah.
They land in a situation they're not supposed
arguing
to.
about what wages they're going to be paid all the way along.
Exactly. But they're getting themselves into a scrape that they're ordered to get themselves into. They actually turn around and say they do not want to do this.
Yeah.
They know the impact it will have on the ship and the potential danger they're going into. And with the exception of Ash, who is deliberately scuppering them, all of them are doing their job absolutely competently.
Oh, absolutely.
So
I don't know what you're asking for, but I think they're equally as competent as the crew of Serenity, in so much as they're working men, they're freighter captains, they're tugboat sort of guys, and they're doing their job. You know, Dallas is a perfectly competent commander. When things start going wrong, he does what he needs to do.
Doesn't do him very much good.
Yeah, it doesn't do him very much good, but as you say, he's got Ash trying to scupper him, and then you've got this, quote, perfect killing machine, end quote. You know, it is.
That's the thing. I mean, if any other ship, and you say by the end of the film or the series, only one crew member survives, well, they clearly can't be competent. But given what they're up against.
Exactly. So
I would like to see a xenomorph walking around the halls of the Enterprise D and see what happens, if I'm honest.
They'd probably just shoot it and then make some techno bollocks up and put a shield around the hull.
Assuming that didn't happen, though.
They'd shoot it and then ruin the carpet. It'd be terrible.
Yeah. Then we'd have we'd have a ready rooms with a green carpet.
It's a nasty stain in the corner there.
Yeah. So as far as I'm concerned, I'm going to ask. I mean, I wasn't going to ask for legendary, but I mean, based on what we give the Firefly, I think.
Well, this is the problem with giving Firefly 5, as far as I'm concerned. But there we go.
Well, I disagree. I don't think there's any problem giving the crew 5. They're perfectly competent. They're more competent than most Starfleet crews. I'll give you that for nothing.
Yeah. I mean,
at the end of the day, they do their job. They do their job well. And Ripley survives not only this, but she survives aliens as well. I mean, Ripley alone gets you 5.
I could buy that argument quite easily. Yes.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. I was just going to say
some of the other crew members less so, but yeah.
Yeah, but even so, they all, as far as the job they're employed to do and the ship that they're flying, they do that perfectly. They don't have any problems at all. And if
there was a weak link, I would argue it'd be Dallas.
Really?
He's
Not Lambert?
He's a bit of a wet captain, ultimately.
I don't think so.
He doesn't have command presence, does he? Let's face it.
Well, no.
He's a tug captain, though, isn't he?
In fairness, as soon as the shit hits the fan, he goes and hides in the shuttle and listens to a bit of Vivaldi. But
and let's go into this confined space with my flamethrower. That'll be a good idea. But again, they're up against a huge, massive challenge here. So it's very hard to score them down as a result. So
yeah. I'd say if
I'm happy with a 5 for them, then
I'd say happy with 5. But I just wanted to say I think if you have a weak link in the chain, as it were, it's probably Lambert.
I would have said that because she freaks out within
exactly.
Yeah.
But then again, you could also argue that the weakest link is actually John Hurt's Kane, who really shouldn't be sticking.
Let's look at that Iggy thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes, but if you've never come across something, I mean, we can all say this with hindsight because of this film.
Yeah.
I mean, look what happens in Prometheus when they come across these things for the first time. It's even worse.
Let's not make the crew.
Oh yeah, it'll be interesting to do the crew
That'll be
competence
in minus
on that.
figures.
Yeah, I was going to say I'm going to give them -10.
Yeah.
Right off the bat, if the Prometheus makes it into double
But
figures,
making no fucking sense whatsoever.
yeah, exactly. So I'm going to give them 5, unless you guys disagree.
No, I'm happy with that.
I'm happy
with
for them to have 5.
Okay, lovely. Right, exterior 5. There's no
5.
two ways about it. It's a solid fucking model, perfectly done, remade 3 times at 3 different scales. It looks lush.
No arguments there, sir. Have your 5.
Thank you, Pete.
Mm.
Okay, cool.
Spot on. Yeah.
Cool. Interior. Come on.
5.
I want to see
5.
someone argue that.
Shiny,
Come on.
5.
Yeah, shiny 5. Now,
Oh,
science.
no. Grim and gritty 5, but yes.
Yeah. So, science. Now, it's a weird one because, okay, we have anti-gravity. That's always against the ship straight away. That takes it straight off of being a 5. But the rest of the ship, as far as what it does, how fast it moves, the functions it can carry out, the fact that it doesn't move very fast, the fact that it has to sit in orbit before it comes down to abandon its cargo, the fact that every second counts, the fact that they can't even, the life support isn't enough to support them for the entire journey, that they have to go into stasis. All of that, I think, aims at a 4.
No arguments from me.
Yep. They even have fluffy dice.
Yep. They even have a little nodding, was it woodpecker? Yeah. Right.
And the old BBC microcomputer as well.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway, cool factor. Well, I'm giving it a 4. So whatever you guys want to give it. But I'm
giving it 3.
Cool.
Because that's the most I can give it. So yeah, I'd give it 4 if I could.
Cool. So that's a 10 for cool, which gives us a really interesting situation.
The ultimate answer.
Indeed, the ultimate answer. 42 for the Nostromo. Did better than I expected, to be honest, but it did worse than the Serenity, which kind of annoys me.
Yeah, well,
I'll be honest
give
with
the crew 5 for skill.
Oh, give it over.
Well, even if I gave them 4 for skill, they're still going to beat the bloody Nostromo.
That's still a point over.
Still a point over. Oh, that's gypped me rather.
Yeah, I thought you were in for a winner there.
Yeah, I thought I was knocking that out of the park, but never mind. Yeah. Well, there you go. So
it's up there with the X-Bomber, mate.
Oh, fuck!
Wow. You know what, Lee?
Yeah.
I'm going to give you this, right?
Go on.
I'll let you give it 11. Cool factor. Just so it gets more than the X-Bomber.
Do you know what? I'm taking that 11. There you go. 43
spreadsheet. You can't do that.
43 points.
Hey.
Yeah, this is starting to go the Top Gear route. Very much so. And we're giving you 11 points. Yeah.
Out of 10.
Yeah, 11 out of 10.
You can have 11 out of 10. Because it's that cool. The Nostromo is that cool.
It is that cool. And I will accept it, and I will not argue with you.
Yes.
So there you go. 43 points.
42 points. Yes,
43 points for the Nostromo.
Yeah, that's right. 42.
43.
I'm not breaking my spreadsheet.
Okay, fine. Right, so yes, 42 points for the Nostromo. Miserable git. And now, yeah, that's that for Space Tugs. So
Wait. I thought of one.
Go on.
We have a special.
Go on.
Because its self-destruct device is capable of blowing up a massive refinery. There you go. That'll give you 43.
Yay!
Have one for special. For your self-destruct.
Yay! That's not really a defence.
I don't care. We're beating that X-Bomber, my friend.
Yes! 43 points. 43. 43.
Absolutely, 43.
Right.
So, what are we
43.
doing next week then?
Well, exactly. What are we doing next week? Well, following on from the Nostromo, ironically, we are going to be doing spooky spaceships.
Or unlucky ones, because it's the 13th episode.
Yes, exactly.
13.
13.
Although technically it's the 14th episode, but we don't count episode 0, so...
No, never count episode 0. Let's not get into the Black Dog numbering system. It's just not right. It's not right. So, yes, so we're going to be doing spooky spaceships. And so, what shall we be bringing, guys?
So I'm going to be doing, from the world of 40k, the Necron Cairn ship.
Right.
So it's TA-100s looking around in Goa'uld motherships.
Whatever. Does this have pink creatures with tits in their eyes?
No, don't worry. There are no boobs included.
Oh, my friend, that comes later.
Oh, nice. Okay, fine. I'll have to look these things up.
you can play the role of me next week, basically.
Yes, very much so.
The role of Donnie will be played by Lee Medcar.
Thank you.
What I will do... Yeah, I will be doing the USG Ishimura from the Dead Space series, the Planet Backer.
Actually, that's me going Donnie on that one. So.
Yeah, exactly. And I...
You're going to choose something that neither of us know about.
Yeah, it's you on your own.
Yeah, and I'm going to be bringing the blah blah from the blah 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 blah. No, I will be bringing the engineer's ship, aka the Derelict from Alien, or the engineer's ship from Prometheus.
Well, let's say it's the one from Alien, because as is tradition, we try and avoid mentioning Prometheus whenever we can.
Well, you know,
just remember, run sideways.
Yes, exactly.
Yes, exactly.
Space croissant.
When it comes to competence, we can't fault the people who are running away from its crashing.
No, or the slightly strange bald-headed guy. But anyway, fine. Fine. Big ship.
Well, those are
one
the ships
crew.
we're doing, unless we think of something better between now and then.
Yeah, well, that's true. So that's it. So do join us next time for the derelict, the Ishimura, and the what the hell is it again, Pete?
The Necron Cairn ship.
Necron Cairn ship.
It's got one of those apostrophes in the middle.
Oh God, is it? We are properly in Goa'uld territory, are we?
Pretty much, yeah.
Tack and black. All right, okay, fine. Well, we'll see you then for that. Until then, do join us on the Facebook group, which is facebook.com/group/the space. Start
It's not
that
the Black
again.
Dog one, no.
No. facebook.com/groups/space-dog-jury. And do follow us on Twitter, where we'll all be arguing amongst ourselves and doing passive-aggressive picture posting, which is at spacedogjury.com. Oh, just at spacedogjury. What the fuck's going wrong with my head? Oh, right. Okay. Oh, I've just been sent a picture of a Necron Cairn.
Yeah.
A tomb ship, no less.
Yes.
Okay. I don't know if I'm going to like this.
No, don't worry. It's not.
Don't worry, there's no pink tits with horns on this thing.
Okay. Shooting my load early, but it looks like a hot plate. Jesus Christ. Right. Well, until next time, I look forward to talking about this thing. It looks like you use it to open fucking crab sticks. What is that?
The Necron bottle opener.
Yeah.
It's got a pyramid and everything.
It's wicked. Right. See you later, everyone. Tatty
Cheerio,
bye.
Space Dog Jury is a production by 3 Angry Beards for GeekPlanetOnline.com.